Alright, so I'm here with a short writing video. I wanted to talk a little bit about character arcs, and even if you're a pantser or like a gardener in a lot of ways, I think answering these questions before you start writing, even if you're not going to make any other part of an outline or anything like that, having these answers will really help you finish the story. And kind of just starting with the piece is like it also helps you figure out who your character is. I'm going to copy these things into the description so you can just copy them and answer them there if you want. But the basic start is like, what is the character's emotional struggle that connects them to real life people? Like, it's a fantasy world or a sci-fi world or a murder mystery or anything that's, something that someone hasn't really experienced. But everyone has some type of struggle that they experience. It doesn't always have to be an emotional struggle, but it's like, they're always short on money or they're always feeling, neglected. Like just what that kind of thing is. And the next question brings to that is like, what is the real life experience that you're drawing on for this feeling? Like it doesn't have to be a long experience or even a major thing in your life, but just think about a time in your life where you felt like this and just write out that amount. So when you start writing this character, think about that experience beforehand. That way you kind of get in that emotional mindset, because the emotional mindset really helps for the characters itself. Now you're going to distinguish the character from your real life. So like what ghost of the character's past affect and shade this struggle. So like what has happened to the character that's going to make it different from what happened in your real life. Like what's part of the character's past that makes them like this? Like why do they have this kind of struggle, or like an addiction or anything? Why do they have that? And the other thing is like at the very beginning of your story and your character's normal life, what is also affecting that struggle? Like how is their life shaded and changed because of that struggle? Um, a quick example would be something like maybe you struggle with like you have like a gambling addiction or something. Your character has a gambling addiction, and a real life experience I would draw from would be like when I played Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle, and I wanted to buy more kind of things with the gotcha system. I had to quit that game, despite how much I love Dragon Ball Z. Um, and so for the ghost of the character's past, maybe it's something like the main character didn't have enough money to pay for his little little sister's medicine or something, and his little sister died because of that. And his current circumstances is he's currently in debt and he's using his gambling to pay off this kind of thing. Just something. It's not major, and I just kind of pulled that out of nowhere. But the other one is like, what's your character's coping mechanism for this struggle? Like when the character really feels like, what does the character do when they either can't do it or when they can kind of do it? So it's like, does your character, you know, go out and gamble all his money away constantly, or is part of his coping mechanism that he always like stuffs a bit of like he gives part of his money to one of his friends to stop him from spending it, and that's part of his coping mechanism or something like that. Um, Now you get into the real part of the character arc. Is what's your character's external goal? Like at the start of the story, what does your character want? Um, like for the gambling person, maybe he wants to get out of debt. That's his big thing. He wants to pay off all his debts or something like that. And how does the character acknowledge this goal? He's talking about like something he's doing, like he's gonna get this big haul. Um, then what would the character do? Like, what will happen if the character doesn't meet his goal? I mean, maybe he gets his arm cut off or something by the debt collectors. Just something kind of thrown out there. What steps does your character take to achieve their goal? Like, what are some things that your character is going to do to achieve this goal? It's like he's going to go in and gamble, but he's actually using that as a ruse so he can rob the casino or something. And then you answer the question, do they achieve this goal? This is kind of the midpoint of the story, usually by this point. So it's either a yes, they do, but this happens, or no, they don't, and things get worse, or something, is usually how you answer this question. And then you have the question of, like, what does your character need for personal growth? This is not something that your character's really going to know about, but it's something the reader will see. And this usually relates to the character's emotional struggle, but it doesn't always. So maybe in this one, he needs to acknowledge that his friends always have his back or something, or maybe stop treating his friends like shit. And how are you going to communicate this to the reader? Because the character doesn't understand it himself. Maybe show how he's treating his friends, and at this point, like beyond the halfway point, kind of highlight it. Like maybe he's done this entire time, but it hasn't really been highlighted. But at this point, you're going to really highlight how he treats his friends. And what's the universal trait of this need? Like, it's something that everyone, like, it's not really a universal, like, saying or anything, but it's like just treat your friends well. Just something small like that. And then in the end, what does your character do to change this? Well, maybe they accept fault and take the blame for their friend or something like that. But if you answer these questions for your character stuff, it will actually make it much quicker for some of your or make smoother for your writing. And I think that might help. I'll talk about doing multiple versions of these for different POVs in the next one, and then I'll talk about doing combining those into the 27-point outline after that. Talk to you next time.